The goal of the show is to help you break in and thrive in advertising. And we do that every single week by sharing the stories and advice of those rocking it on the other side. And every once in a while, we will take you behind the curtain at some of the most influential agencies in the world. This week, we're diving into M+C Saatchi North America, a global creative solutions company that's independent, entrepreneurial, and rebellious as the brands it works with. And I want to make something very clear. This is not Saatchi and Saatchi. This is M+C Saatchi, which is a challenger agency for challenger brands and more. So we're going to be talking with the boss herself today. We're sitting with Nadja Bellan-White, Group CEO of M+C Saatchi North America. Nadja's incredible. Like, you're going to love this. She has led transformations for some of the biggest brands in the world, from Unilever to Vice to Coca-Cola, across continents and industries. She's been at the table for massive cultural and business shifts, helping brands reclaim their cultural power, restructure, and disrupt their categories. We're going to talk about what truly separates M+C Saatchi from traditional agency networks and why they're not for everyone. We're going to talk about how brands that have lost their cultural position can get it back, why bravery is the single biggest trait separating the best CMOs from the rest, and the art of brand reinvention, and when it's time for a shakeup. And of course, all of the young talent out there looking to break in, thrive in this industry, maybe become a CEO one day. If you have high aspirations, this episode is certainly for you. You're going to want to connect with Nadja. We also actually talk about a story of how she restructured an entire country's reputation, because why stop at brands? She's that good. She's a powerhouse leader, a straight shooter, and one of the most inspiring voices that I've ever heard on this show. So if you're a brand looking for an agency that actually solves business problems, not just sells you on a PowerPoint, you'll want to hear this. And if you want to connect with Nadja and her team, she actually answers her emails. You can reach out to her at nadja.bellanwhite@mcsaatchi.com. Now, let's get into it. This is the Breaking and Entering Advertising Podcast, and as usual, I'm your accomplice, Gino Schellenberger. Kick it, Mikey. All right, Nadja Bellan-White, welcome to the Breaking and Entering Advertising Podcast.
I feel like this should be like the hot wings one, where we test hot wings.
Jack, please pull out your briefcase. We have the wings.
We have a special guest.
The atomic wing. I get it, you guys. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for welcoming us to the agency. We've been here this morning talking with people. I'm very curious to learn more about M+C Saatchi, all the sub-agencies within, and your role, and all the people here have been so great. So thank you again.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys taking the time out to be with us today.
Wonderful. So I want to start out very simply. M+C Saatchi, global creative force. But to some of our listeners, they might not be familiar. So how do you describe an M+C Saatchi to someone who is new to it? What makes it different from other agencies out there?
Well, first of all, I love to say that we're not that Saatchi. Oftentimes people think that we're Saatchi and Saatchi. We're M+C Saatchi. Kind of like the rebels, the ones that really are probably far more entrepreneurial minded than most. We like to get into what I call, from the deceased John Lewis, good trouble. We believe in representing brands that want to be the kind of shapeshifters and rabble-rousers who want to disrupt the status quo. The best way for me to describe is that if you are a brand that really has a perspective on how you want to disrupt the market, we're the network for you.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
I've kind of been a brand disruptor as I move around the globe. So this is kind of aligned with who I am and my DNA.
Absolutely. So what are some of those brands that you've seen, whether from growing up or like your time working in this industry, like that you really respect, that you're like, this is a disruptor, or a case study that comes top of mind that you love?
I mean, I love what Shipt is doing, which is an existing client of ours. They're a big challenger, the Instacart, and the way they come into the category. The attention to customer detail is kind of phenomenal in the way they really understand customers, what their needs are, and anticipate them. It's old school customer relationship marketing, but they do it better than anybody else. Gotcha. I really loved how Coca-Cola really kind of reinvented how they were marketing across the continent of Africa. They were a big client of mine when I was based in Nairobi. And again, I tend to follow clients that are disruptors. And I would be probably remiss without mentioning one of my most famous clients, which is Dove, right? I led it out of the UK. I did a huge campaign that you guys may have heard of about beauty during a midst crisis that you may have heard of, where we produced the entire campaign in 7 days. And it was all around courage being beautiful, which was done out of my flat in London in 7 days or less. And yes, I asked no permissions. I broke all the rules, but it also won all the titaniums and the Cannes Lions. And sometimes you just got to break a little glass to move things ahead.
That's why you're the boss. That's why you're the group CEO of M+C North America. Those risks and that courage that you take is so incredible. I want to talk more about your background, because you've led transformations at Unilever,
yes,
Vice, Ogilvy Africa, like you just mentioned. So what drew you to M+C Saatchi, and what excites you about leading its North America expansion?
You know, it's interesting. I've worked at all the major networks, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've worked at Publicis, I've worked at WPP, and they're lovely people. I've had a great time. I've almost a 30-year career at the more traditional networks. But at the end of the day, I wanted something different. One that would allow me to combine so much of the great work I did at Vice, as well as just my entrepreneurial spirit to really work with brands who are disruptors. And I will say this about M+C North America. We're not for everybody. Every brand may not want to work with us.
That's okay.
We want to work with brands that want to disrupt the status quo. We want to work with the rebel rousers, the ones who are saying, I need to adjust my model. You may be a brand that's actually, quite frankly, pretty state and true in the market, but you may need to reassure your key customer base that you are there for them. We represent everyone. We represent those that have certain types of values, that are the most creative, the ones that are disrupting the market. Those are the brands that tend to come to M+C North America.
I love it. I love it. And when did you start in this position?
Well, I started as CEO of SS&K last January, and then got promoted to be CEO of North America in December.
Wonderful. Can you give me just like the rundown of the structure here? What type of groups do we have within that you oversee?
I oversee our Sport and Ends, which is really our consumer PR division. We have SS&K, which really is the leading flagship for brand advertising, and Earn First Media. Our corporate comms and reputation business, performance marketing, and consulting, and digital transformation business all sit here within Group North America.
This is like an integrated, multidisciplinary approach that you're giving brands an advantage. Like I guess, what does that mean to somebody?
So it means you don't have to choose. You know, I've been in this business where agencies tend to want to funnel you towards one particular agency. Mm-hmm. You must work with these individuals. Guess what? Do your business problems function like that? No, they don't. You come to us with your business problem, and we put together the best team that you need to solve that particular business problem, right? So we put together the bespoke teams. I call them the Avengers. You know what we do? We assemble the Avengers for your business, right? And guess what? Depending on what the day is, you may be fighting a different kind of crime. You may have a different kind of challenge. Lord knows, if you look at what's happening today, it changes on a day-to-day basis. So guess what? You get one key client lead, and you get a multidiscipline team underneath. Isn't that great? You have your conciliaries, your Avengers that you can call on to help you navigate all the changes in your business.
And do you think that's how like most agencies today should act?
Absolutely. There's too many layers. There's too many complications. They don't need all that. All you need to know is tell me what your business problem. I'll tell you how to solve it. And guess what? I have the right in a couple months as your business evolves and changes to switch and involve the team along with your business needs. And it doesn't have to be complicated, because you know what else we're doing? We're putting some skin in the game, which means that we'll tie our enumeration to your KPIs, which means we are as vested as you are.
Love it. And you help brands do this and navigate massive cultural and business shifts. So what's the biggest challenge you think brands are facing right now, and how should they be thinking about their brand
They're
challenges?
Afraid. Every brand leader you talk to is afraid. They don't know what to do. Think about it. You got activist shareholders. You have consumers on the left and consumers on the right and consumers on the middle, all of which think that they're being ignored. No matter what you do, you're going to make a mistake. You have the impact of artificial intelligence. How do you use it? How do you leverage it? Does it help? Does it hurt? What way should I use it? Brands have had the most challenging time is now. How do you navigate forward when no matter what you do, you're going to alienate part of the population? So you know what you do? You let the data tell the message. Let the data lead you to the answer. You stay true to who your values are, and you make sure that you do not waver from it at all. If you look at someone like a Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan Chase, people can not like Jamie Dimon or like him. I don't really think it matters, but he stays true to who the values are of JP Morgan Chase. And I don't have to tell you they're one of our largest clients within one of our divisions. And we're really proud of the great relationship that we have with them because it's all about what we're doing to connect them to their everyday consumers, which is part of their day-to-day business.
I love it. You've spoken about the need for brands to embrace a noble purpose. Mm-hmm. What does this mean? Why is it important for businesses' success today? And how does M+C Saatchi bring that to life for clients?
Well, let's just talk about the flip-flopping of brands who shall be nameless, who think they have a noble purpose, but they're afraid to say they have a noble purpose because is saying noble purpose a bad thing? Is it a good thing? It's not about being a bad or good thing. It's just a good for business thing. What are your values as a brand? Are you brave enough to stand up for what's right in the world? Are you going to cow down to any kind of key constituencies on the left or on the right? Do what you think is right. I think the time for brands to stand up and have a noble purpose is now. Do not be afraid of what the activists are telling you to do. Do what's right for your business. And brands that are not wavering from that, who are not necessarily being overly influenced by wrong cultural biases, are the ones that are going to survive these very trying and tricky times. Wow. I love culture. We're for cultural power. We believe in helping people attain it and wield it, but use it smartly, right? Don't overly complicate it or certainly dimensionalize it or become overly one or the other, but stay true to what is actually relevant for your business.
What's your noble purpose as an individual, and whether it's in work, in your personal life? What do you like to follow?
I believe that my entire reason for being is to make an impact on others. And I can tell you, no matter where I've worked, whether it be in Nairobi or in Lagos or in Accra, Ghana, or in Johannesburg or in the UK or Paris, I believe that I've left my team better than how I found them. And that's because I lead with heart, but I also lead with some pragmatic, ability to drive a P&L, drive profit, drive growth. But I also believe in being a teacher and making sure that the people I have coming up behind me are better than I was. Hire better than. Don't be afraid to hire great people. Don't be afraid to invest in amazing young talent. When I was in Nairobi, and even some of the people I've hired here, I'm like, I like you. I like your spirit. I like your chutzpah. I like the way you challenge the status quo. I want you on my team. Right? I'm the kind of leader, anyone tells you I have an open door. I literally have no doors. But I have an open door policy. No matter what you have to solve, my belief is we can always solve it together. I'm not one that tends to govern with intimidation. I want progress, but I don't govern through intimidation. Good ideas come from anybody.
I love it. Who taught you all this? What were some foundational mentors in your life?
I got my ass kicked.
Oh, I love it.
You want to be honest? I got my ass kicked. I was not always treated nicely. I've had doors slammed in my face. I've been called the worst things in the business. I remember crying one day when I was starting out in the business, and I had a boss, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't believe that client didn't want to call on me just because of the color of my skin. And she said, are you going to let them win? Because if you let them win, then no one's going to see the greatness that I see. So I've decided to not necessarily give in to the biases of any one person, nor do I really care about the ignorant people that continue to be out there. But I tend to create the type of team around me and the people that work with me that are for the people. Then we're not for the extremists on either side, we're for the people. And that's one of the reasons why brands tend to want to work with us, because they know I live by my values and I wear my values on my sleeve.
What would you tell a young Nadja, just entering the business, if you can go back in time, have one conversation, give one piece of advice to your past self, knowing what you know now, what would you say?
I needed to be more fuck you when I was younger. I was way too scared about what everybody else thought. And someone told me this: the second that you walk into the room, you are the power. The second you begin second guessing yourself because you're worried about somebody else being offended about how you show up or what you do, you begin to lose your effectiveness. So I would say to my younger self, be less afraid and more bold.
Oh, incredible. And how did you break into the business? What was your first job? How did you get your foot in the door into this industry?
I have to thank a couple of key people, David Kenny and probably Ken Chenault. I know Ken Chenault, but I don't think he actually knows the answer to this story at all. But David Kenny heard of me because I was at IBM. And I was doing marketing strategy, helping them figure out how to go direct using something called the internet. Have you heard of it?
A couple of times.
Yeah, do you remember?
Yeah.
And I remember leaving IBM because I was so frustrated that they didn't really want to embrace this new way of doing business that I quit. And David Kenny was leading this company you may have heard of called Digitas in its early formation. And he met me and he was like, you know what? She went to business school. She spent her year restructuring businesses. She understands this new platform called the internet. I kind of think she'd be great on the advertising side. So after a series of interviews and a Ken Chenault saying that they needed to change the kinds of team members they had at Digitas, I was put on the American Express account. And there launched my very illustrious and long career moving around the globe. And David Kenny is still one of my mentors.
Oh, I love that. So you went from brand side to agency side. When you broke into agency side, what were some of those like lessons or shock factors when you were there, or was it a pretty seamless transition?
No, I did everything. I learned how to code. I learned how to write presentations with groups of other people. We were making it up as we went along, but it was actually kind of the beauty of it. Many of these people I'm friends with to this day. I reported into media and marketing, so I learned the media side of the business while doing the marketing side of the business. I learned how to manage a P&L all at the same time. And so this was my kind of entree into the business. I was doing disruptive campaigns. I was working with the likes of Sting and Kanye West before Kanye became Yeezy and all that stuff. And John Legend, he was just a fresh young consultant coming out of consulting. And this little British team, this rock group that came out called Coldplay, you gotta understand, it was crazy. I was on set with Jerry Seinfeld. He was like, I think I'm gonna do something with bees and this animation thing. You think it's going to take off? Imagine that was your world. That was what I was doing, and it was great. And I did this while having kids at the same time. And then I went to do it at Digitas. Then I went to do it at Publicis. Then I went to do it at Ogilvy. And then, Shelley Lazarus, God bless her, when I was at Ogilvy, said to me, I don't think we have enough for you here. Not a bad thing, but I can see that you want to do more. And there's only so much you'll be able to do in North America. And they had a list of people that were moving around the globe, and I moved my family to Africa. And that's how I became CEO of Africa. And then I just kept figuring it out as I went along. And then after I transformed Africa, then I went on to do Europe. And I managed clients across EMEA, where I worked on the likes of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, trying to figure out how to reverse the impacts of malnutrition around the world, and Unilever. And that led me to Vice. And Vice was like, well, we need help restructuring. Why don't you come be our CMO? And I was like, okay. So I joined Nancy Smith and Shane, and that was probably a movie for another podcast, and that was fun. Yeah. And then I did that, and I said, okay, you're navigating yourself through all sorts of bankruptcy. Again, it's another podcast. But then that led me to M+C, where they were like, you know what, we're setting up things new. There's this great agency called SS&K that's based on the premise of think politically, act creatively. There are these three guys that kind of grew up in politics and wanted to do things differently. We need a disruptive CEO. So I joined that team. And then after 6 months or so, they're like, this isn't enough for her. We need her to lead the whole North America division and bring her lovely disruptive self to the table. And that's what led me to M+C.
What is like the superpower? You keep saying like restructuring. So you like getting placed into an organization and you shake things up and you restructure and you put your vision and like, how do you do that? What's the superpower? And can you explain like what's the first thing you do when you walk into a new job?
I think sometimes people want to stay safe and stay with the most senior people. I go for the level below. Okay. I want to find the person in the room that's not doing the most talking. The one that probably has the greatest potential. I want to make sure the clients see the greatness in some of these individuals. I want my team to be the thought leaders of tomorrow, the ones that clients pay attention to. Look, the senior leaders have been the senior leaders. They're always going to be the senior leaders. But I need to inspire the next generation of amazing people. I love it when my teams win, because that means I'm doing something right.
Right. So going to those, seeing the potential, inspiring them, I love it. And you've done that time and time again.
Time and time again.
So what's next for M+C Saatchi, in your opinion?
Other than reshaping the entire agency landscape. If you look at an interview that we just did, I did with the president of AAR. Is she was listening
Lisa.
to me. Yes. And Lisa talked to me about, why do you think you're different? I said, I've been in this business long enough to know what's good and what's not. What's good about us is I don't actually need a presentation. Tell me what your business problem is. I'll tell you what we can do to help you solve it. The best things that we do is we don't necessarily need the PowerPoint or the keynote to present. We just need a conversation. Tell me your business problem. I'll tell you how I think we can solve it. Give me 48 hours. We'll give you a roadmap for how to do it.
Love that. That takes bravery.
It takes bravery.
Yeah.
And you know what we need? More brave agencies who are not afraid to hide behind 30 pages of PowerPoint. We also need brave clients who are not afraid to hide behind it either. Who are willing to say, yeah, I'm having a hard time. Yeah, I'm being vulnerable. Yes, Nadja, you know what? I actually don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm actually absolutely petrified that my entire business is going to be wiped out by artificial intelligence, or my entire business is going to be enhanced by it. That I don't know how to align to appeal to everybody without pissing off everyone. So that's the kind of briefs I fucking love. Because I say, come to me, and our team can help you solve that.
And what would you say is like, I think I know the answer to this question, but like what kind of problems excite you when a brand comes to you and says, I need help with this category or X? What like lights you up personally? Like, I would love to dive into this brief.
I love brands that have lost their cultural position. I love it. Give me a brand that believes that they've lost their position in culture, and I'll give you the perfect roadmap for how to get it back.
Gotcha.
It's a balance of not just the right strategy, but the right plan for growth. How are you going to use influencers, but use influencers in the right way? Mm-hmm. How do you restructure the team? How do you uncover new opportunities for growth? How do you reimagine the entire marketing model for yourself? I love those kinds of problems. Bring them on each and every damn day.
And for the creatives, the strategists, and the marketers listening, I guess, like, what kind of talent do you want at M+C Saatchi? Like, what makes someone a great fit for the agency?
I need T-shaped people. I need folks who are as integrated as I am. I said to someone recently, I've worked in media, I've worked in advertising, I've worked in digital, I've worked at CRM, I've worked on the continent of Africa, I've worked across Europe, I've worked in the Middle East. Be as integrated as I am.
Mm-hmm. I like that. And then, like, I guess, what advice would you say then to somebody who's just starting out in this industry, or like maybe they're in college or they're recent grads and they're struggling to get a job? What would you tell them in 2025 to help them better their break-in?
Be a sponge and learn how to write.
Right.
You'd be surprised how many people don't know how to write. It's a lost art, by the way. People need to know how to write. Write a brief, write a point of view, write a white paper without ChatGPT, a beginning, middle, and end of a story. Be able to hold a conversation. Being able to look into someone's eyes and actually give them a point of view without necessarily looking at your phone and doing this all the time. Can you just do that? It sounds like some of the beautiful basics, but you'd be surprised how shocking it is. I've had someone show up for an interview literally off camera. And they thought, I didn't get the job. Well, no, damn it, you didn't get the job. You cannot articulate a point of view.
Yeah.
And so those beautiful basics are important. How can you be able to stand in front of a client and say you can help them if you actually can't articulate or speak or write?
Start a podcast.
Start a podcast. I'm ready for the podcast. I'm missing the wings though, but we're good.
You're crushing it. This is
this okay? Because I got stories for you both on and off the record.
Tell us a story. What do you got? Like,
I'll tell you what. Fun fact.
Yeah.
I have worked on restructuring a country in West Africa.
Not a business, a country. You're saying?
A country.
Well, let's hear.
Where there was a new election, and there was a president, and let's just say his reputation wasn't great. Maybe people may have perceived that he may have been perceived as a dictator, although I don't really think that was who he was.
Okay.
And our team is brought in to restructure the country, change his perception, put a whole new strategy in place to bring new visitors into the country. And yes, we presented at a palace where all of the power went off. We ended up throwing a sheet over a big bookcase and presenting on the spot to him. I presented to him and his team of people that were standing behind me with guns and such. And we had a cross section of people with me as we presented a plan. And at the end, he said to me, "This is brilliant." And we went off to the races.
How do you even prepare for something like that and like have that adaptability? Like, tell me about the lead up of that.
I didn't really believe it was a real pitch, but they kept calling. And they did it because my team at the time had also been the team who did a lot of work for Mexico. So you guys may not remember, but many, many years ago, no one wanted to go to Mexico. And so I was part of a team that actually helped restructure the perception of Mexico at the time. You take those same principles and you then apply it, and you bring that same cross-section of team to this particular country, West Africa, and we merely highlighted the great things about this country that people had not heard about. And so you're taking the same principles as you would apply to a brand, and you applied it to a country. You know, I then teamed up with Coca-Cola in East Africa, which created a whole business alliance with the top 10 or 15 global leaders that had companies based in East Africa. And we created a whole series, Why the Future is Kenya, and we did it in Tanzania and all across East Africa. We did a brand PR program that's probably one of the most successful initiatives they've done to date. Again, all part of my job as CEO.
So much more than, like, you can do so much more than just, you know, helping one specific brand. You can help entire countries. Which
now
is so,
you know, if you then look at what's happening today in the world, why I say to brands, be brave. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Please be brave. I'm not saying that you need to disrupt what's happening in the market. I'm saying give a shit. Have a point of view. Don't be afraid to stand on your values that you think is important. And somehow I believe that if you stay true to who your values are without necessarily cowering too far to one side or another, you will succeed and you will win. But it's the flip-floppers are the ones that get screwed each and every time.
Yeah. Why do you think that some of these brands are struggling? Is it because of like the CMO turnover rate, or the pressures on like
Yes.
bottom line? What else have you seen in your career?
CMO turnover rate, pressures from activist shareholders,
Yep.
being afraid to make the wrong decision, being called out through social media. Everybody will make mistakes. So anyone's going to come here and tell you that they don't make mistakes is fucking lying to you. It's really hard leading a brand. It's really hard leading a company. You're trying to do the right thing, and no matter what, someone's going to be pissed off at you. But you know what you can't necessarily do without is staying true by who you are. What are your brand values? What do you hold true today? What do you think is most important? And be unwavering in that. And have that be your North Star to guide you through.
Yeah, I mean, all the decisions you make can fall under, is it aligning with our North Star? Is this something that we should be doing or shouldn't be doing? Like, it makes it so much easier, I feel like, once you have that those clear parameters.
Exactly, it does. But you also have to have the kind of people around the table that will challenge you. If you have only certain types of people around the table that don't have exposure to a wide swath of individuals, you don't get the diverse points of views that you need. One of the grateful experiences I had at Vice was every day I had a very diverse set of people around the table that love to challenge. Oh, they love to challenge you at Vice. Oh, they love to challenge you.
Interesting.
They challenge you for the sake of challenging you. I'm like, goodness, people, could we just please give it a break? But it's actually really good.
Yeah.
Because out of the great work at Vice came some really amazing stories. There are some crazy stories, but there's some amazing stories. So out of that tension comes greatness. So take the tension that's in the market, bring it together, and create something great. And I think the brands that do it, that are truly brave, are the ones that will ride through it.
I love it.
Nike's coming out of the other side. That latest spot was really damn good.
Oh, the Super Bowl spot.
Remember, they didn't do anything for a while.
Yeah, since
They were
1998.
awfully quiet.
Nike?
Yeah, they were quiet for a minute.
Yeah. Well, I think there's like CMO change going on. Like, there's some stuff going on.
New CMO,
Yeah.
new swagger, new flavor. I think the work that Taco Bell is doing is brilliant. Again, Sean is a very brave CEO who knows what he's doing. And Unilever continues to lead the industry. And again, if you think of what AC Eggleston Bracey has done as CMO there, bravery. Bravery is a common trait that you see with great brand leaders. Moderna, look at Kate Cronin and what she's doing. Brave. Bravery, bravery, bravery. That trumps everything else every single time. So be brave, brands. Don't be afraid of it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to be brave, you got to come to M+C North America.
Boom.
We're the brave people.
And it seems like a lot of this can apply to an individual's career. Like, be brave in how you put yourself out there, how you network, how you hop on calls too. So I love that, kind of from the breaking and entering, like, to the career advice too.
Absolutely.
All this resonates too.
I'm not a play it safe kind of person. If you're a play it safe kind of person, then I'm probably not your cup of tea. But I am for all making calculated risks. Mm-hmm. I'm all for making investments in the right places. I'm all for taking chances on people that maybe wouldn't normally have a chance. I'm for that person. So give me the odd person in the bunch, the penguin that's got the white with black stripes that looks the zebra on in the middle of the beach. The one that seems so unusual, but they got a sparkle in their eye, and I think they're special. Those are the people I want here at M+C North America each and every time.
Love it. I just want to know, if you weren't in this industry, what would you be doing? What other career, job do you kind of picture
I
yourself?
probably would have a wine bar, because I tend to host these salons at my home in Harlem. You guys can come over for dinner.
Yes.
And so I have these dinner parties at my house in Harlem, and I'm writing a book on the long dinner table of life, and I have artists, and I have musicians, and I have professors, and I have young and old and black and white and everybody around my dinner table for some jerk chicken and rice and peas, because I am Jamaican.
Mm.
And we just talk about stuff. It's amazing what you can have over a gin and tonic or a glass of wine or a meal. Good old-fashioned sitting at the table hashing stuff out is my approach to life. And I challenge any client, if you want to come to my house for dinner, well, come on then. We can probably solve your business challenge over some chicken and rice, or some soup if you happen to be vegetarian. It's okay. Or a cocktail, but I think everything can be done over a good meal.
I love it. And what's your favorite dish to serve?
Well, my rice and peas are legendary. My jerk chicken is to die for. I have a great wine list. People love to come and drink champagne and hang out.
I was going to ask, what do you pair with that? Like, what would you recommend?
Well,
if we came over, the breaking entering guys.
So if I made you some jerk chicken and rice and peas, right, with a nice salad, I'd have to go with a nice, white wine, something very, very light, maybe a Burgundy or a nice Chardonnay, something pretty cool. But since it is Jamaican, I'd have to give you some red stripe beer maybe on the side as well.
Love it. This has been so fun. How can people connect with you, or if they're a brand, to find out how to work with M+C Saatchi? What's the way to do it?
Just email me, Nadja.Bellan-White at MNCSaatchi.com. I answer all my emails. I will help anybody. Here's the thing. I'm not arrogant enough to think that I am not above help from anybody. I also know I did not get here by myself, nor will I continue to do well without the help of others. The only way M+C survives is through the team approach. The only way clients survive is through getting help. No one solves this problem on their own. But trust me, if you're in the trenches and you're up against the wall, the team you want is the team at M+C North America.
Golden.
We're battle tested, as I love to say.
Boom. Love it. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. This has been wonderful.